Welcome to our continuing series, Questions and Answers for a World in Crisis, a series addressed especially to our youth, but as well to all seekers of a higher and truer life. As always, all answers are from the works of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. Today's subject is dreams from the Mother. At first sight, one might think that the subject of dreams is an altogether secondary one. This activity generally seems to have very little importance compared to the activity of our waking state. However, if we examine the question a little more closely, we shall see that this is not at all the case. To begin with, we should remember that more than 1/3 of our existence is spent in sleeping, and that, consequently, the time devoted to physical sleep well deserves our attention. I say physical sleep, for it would be wrong to think that our whole being sleeps when our bodies are asleep. A study based on certain experiments conducted according to the strictest scientific methods was published some 20 years ago by Dr. Vashid in a book entitled Sleep and Dreams. The doctors who carried out these experiments were led to the conclusion that mental activity never really ceases. And it is this activity which is more or less confusedly transcribed in our brains by what we know as dreams. Thus, whether we are aware of it or not, we always dream. Certainly, it is possible to suppress this activity completely and to have a total dreamless sleep. But to be able in this way to immerse our mental being in a repose similar to the repose of our physical being, we must have achieved a perfect control over it, and this is not an easy thing to do. In most cases, this activity is even heightened because, as the body is asleep, the internal faculties are no longer focused on or used by the physical life. It is sometimes said that in a man's sleep his true nature is revealed. Indeed, it often happens that the sensory being, which throughout the whole day has been subjected to the control of the active will, reacts all the more violently during the night when this constraint is no longer effective. All the desires that have been repressed without being dissolved, and this association can only be obtained after much sound and wide-ranging analysis, seek satisfaction while the will is dormant. And since desires are true dynamic centers of formation, they tend to organize within and around us the combination of circumstances that is most favorable to their satisfaction. In this way, the fruit of many efforts made by our conscious thought during the day can be destroyed in a few hours at night. This is one of the main causes of the resistances which our will for progress often encounters within us, of the difficulties which sometimes appear insurmountable to us, and which we are unable to explain because our goodwill seems so integral to us. We must therefore learn to know our dreams, and first of all, to distinguish between them, for they are very varied in nature and quality. In the course of one night, we may often have several dreams which belong to different categories, depending on the depth of our sleep. As a general rule, each individual has a period of the night that is more favorable for dreams, during which his activity is more fertile, more intellectual, and the mental circumstances of the environment in which he moves are more interesting. The great majority of dreams have no other value than that of a purely mechanical and uncontrolled activity of the physical brain, in which certain cells continue to function during sleep as generators of sensory images and impressions conforming to the pictures received from outside. These dreams are nearly always caused by purely physical circumstances, state of health, digestion, position in bed, etc. With a little self-observation and a few precautions, it is easy to avoid this type of dream, which is as useless as it is tiring, by eliminating its physical causes. There are also dreams which are nothing but futile manifestations of erratic activities of certain mental faculties, which associate ideas, conversations, and memories that come together at random. Such dreams are already more significant, for these erratic activities reveal to us the confusion that prevails in our mental being, as soon as it is no longer subject to the control of our will, and show us that this being is still not organized or ordered within us, that it is not mature enough to have an autonomous life. Almost the same in form to these, but more important in their consequences, are the dreams which I mentioned just now, those which arise from the inner being seeking revenge when it is freed for a moment from the constraint that we impose upon it. These dreams often enable us to perceive tendencies, inclinations, impulses, desires of which we were not conscious, so long as our will to realize our ideal kept them concealed in some obscure recess of our being. You will easily understand that rather than letting them live on unknown to us, it is better to bring them boldly and courageously to the light, so as to force them to leave us forever. We should, therefore, observe our dreams attentively. They are often useful instructors who can give us a powerful help on our way towards self-conquest. No one knows himself well who does not know the unconfined activities of his nights, and no man can call himself his own master unless he has the perfect consciousness and mastery of the numerous actions he performs during his sleep. But dreams are not merely the malignant informers of our weaknesses, or the malicious destroyers of our daily effort for progress. Although there are dreams which we should contend with or transform, there are others which should, on the contrary, be cultivated as precious auxiliaries in our work within and around us. There can be no doubt that from many points of view, our subconscious knows more than our habitual consciousness. The daily habit of reviewing with interest the various dreams of the night, whose traces will gradually become transformed into precise memories, as well as the habit of noting them down on waking, will be found most helpful from this point of view. By these habits, the mental faculties will be led to adapt their mechanism to phenomena of this kind, and to exercise on them their attention, their curiosity, and power of analysis. A kind of intellectualization of our dreams will then occur, with the double result of making the conscious activities intervene more and more closely in the play of the formerly disorganized activities of the sleeping state, and of progressively increasing their scope by making them more and more rational and instructive. Dreams will then take on the nature of precise visions and sometimes of revelations, and useful knowledge of a whole important order of things will be gained. 25th March, 1912. Sri Aurobindo. All sleep is full of dreams. Why should night or day make any difference? It is the condition of your consciousness I spoke of. The more conscious you become, the more you will be able to have dreams worth having. Those who want to remember their dreams sometimes make a practice of lying quiet and tracing backwards, recovering the dreams one by one. When the dream state is very light, one can remember more dreams than when it is heavy. But when one begins to live within, then the dreams are often transcriptions of one's experiences on the vital plane. And beyond that, there is a large field of symbolic and other dreams which have nothing to do with memory. Of course, it has been proved that a very long and circumstantial dream can happen in a second or two. So that objection to Bergson's statement does not stand. But there are also prophetic dreams and many others.